Welcome to this Precision podcast. And today I'm here with John Ingham, and John is my hairdresser. John will be familiar with the fact that it was sometime earlier this year when I walked into the salon for my scheduled appointment, and I don't quite know what came over me. And so we'll blame it on the menopause. But I gave him carte blanche to re-engineer the hairdo that I had had for the past 30 years. And thankfully, he did fulfill the remit, which was to make me look 10 years younger. I have had compliments to that effect. And so thank you, John, for that. But this is, it's a time of transition, the menopause. And
I know nothing about the menopause. I can talk hair, but I can't talk menopause.
Yeah, but you can talk about women who come to you and, and I don't suppose anybody comes to you wanting to look worse, do they? I mean...
No, most people, it would be, but I wouldn't be doing my job very well if they did, would they?
No, exactly.
Come to me, I can make you look a lot older and feel bad about yourself. Yeah, no, that's not what I do.
No, exactly. But, I think your hair changes as well, don't you think? Do you notice
Definitely,
that?
yeah, definitely. As one matures, not only is it sadly changing colour, as I know myself, but it changes in texture. And yeah, it normally becomes sparser. So... No, you're not. If I suggest you have a comb over, that's when you want to worry.
Sparser.
No, when I was being polite, thinner it can do.
That is something I noticed, definitely. I noticed it most after I had my children.
Right, yes.
And of course, we know that when we are pregnant, the hair doesn't fall out, does it?
No, that's when for you ladies, that's when you're at your healthiest. That is when you're at your healthiest, when you're pregnant. Everything should be fantastic when you're pregnant. Everything should be in balance. But afterwards, what happens, because it's as going to sound terrible now, I'm not going to win any female fans here, but pregnancy is an illness, but afterwards your body does take quite a hit. So when you're getting the nutrients that you're getting, instead of them going to feed the hair's the first thing that the body will starve of nutrients. So it is. So the first thing it decides, so you get 100% of vitamins and nutrients in your diet. If the heart needs more, the liver needs more, the kidney needs more, the first thing that the brain is going to decide, right, we need to take some of the nutrients away from one part of you to feed the liver, the kidneys, the heart, the more important organs, okay? Yeah. Even though for a lady, probably the hair is the most important thing. Forget the kidneys, forget the liver, just look after the barnet. Absolutely, I'll give you a kidney transplant, just keep my hair looking good. But the brain decides that what we need to do is starve the hair and things like that side of things, to give more to the heart, the liver, the kidneys, the more important, the more vital organs.
I mean, and I think certainly when you deliver your baby, you are, particularly if you feed your baby yourself, then you are potentially...
well, then you're giving all those nutrients to your baby when you're feeding it. So breastfeeding, although it's a fantastic thing for the baby, the lady can take a bit of a hit, really. The lady's body then suffers. And like I said, that's when the brain decides, well, we've got enough vitamins to kind of look after the baby and look after the kidney and look after the liver and look after the heart, etc. However, we're going to have to take it from somewhere. And then it decides to tax the hair. So the hair goes without, which is why quite often then you do get a shedding afterwards, because the hair's not getting its proper nutrients.
Well, so that happens, but that was actually for me a little while ago, shall we say, when that happened. And so I was definitely...
You were a young mother though, weren't you, Philippa? This is why she comes to me, because I just give her compliments all the time.
Well, that's it, yeah.
Can't cut hair to save my life.
I was 32 when I had my first one. Yeah, 35.
And he's only 6 now, apparently.
35 when I had my second one. But, no, my son's just gone to university this year. Do you remember?
There you go. Another stressful, expensive period coming up then, Philippa.
Yeah, tell me about it. So I think I had begun to notice that my hair was feeling, not as lustrous, definitely thinner, I think. And it's interesting, really, that having this haircut, this is the first day of washing my hair today. And generally, I try to make it go for 2 days if I can. Yeah. And it's always definitely poofier, shall we say, if that's the word.
That's a technical term in hairdressing, poofier.
On day one.
A little fuller, we might say as hairdresser.
There we go.
A little
It's fuller, that's right, on day one. So definitely having the hair cut and layered and shorter. Is that a phenomenon?
A phenomenon. It works, I think, naturally. If you think of, I always describe it as hair is like a spring. So if you put weight on that spring, it's going to pull it flatter. It's going to pull the natural volume out of it. Whereas if you get rid of the weight, it's going to poof up. I think you used the term poof, but I think volume is far nicer and more professional. We can charge more for volume than we can for poofing. So so literally think of it like a spring. So if you put the weight on the hair, taking all those horrible ends off that have probably been sun damaged and heat damaged and whatever damaged, taking those off, you're lifting the weight out of it, and consequently it's going to spring up and be a lot fuller.
Yeah, that's definitely been a revelation, because I was kind of worried about having my hair cut shorter, somehow thinking that having less hair, i.e. shorter hair, would also contribute to the fact that it felt like it might be thinner than it used to be.
Well, again, it depends how it's cut and who's cutting it, without blowing my own trumpet.
True.
But no, I think if anything, when it's longer and it's lank and the ends always tend to be wispier, getting rid of those naturally is going to feel thicker, because the ends always tend to be finer. So by giving it a good cut and getting rid of those wispy ends, everything's going to feel a lot thicker. So
what about colour on the hair? Because obviously, between you and I do have colour on my hair. I
talked Philippa into having colour. She had a bit of a panic attack when I mixed it first up, but I think she'll agree now. The nice thing about colour for me does two things. Not only does it, obviously, the obvious one is colour the hair, obviously, and get rid of any stray grey or what have you, but also it gives it a much better texture. So again, if you have got lank, fine hair that doesn't really do an awful lot, by putting a little bit of colour in there, it will actually make the hair feel coarser, it'll make it feel thicker. And I think it's fair to say, even though all the adverts advertise your hair after using their shampoos and conditioners are going to be like silk, if you actually think what silk is, it just flops and it parts. You get a bit of silk, you lift it up, it doesn't really do an awful lot. You need something with a bit of guts, particularly when you are going short and you want that volume. A bit of colour just adds a bit of guts to the hair, makes it a little bit coarser. So although they use these terms silky, smooth, actually sometimes you don't really want that. You want something with a little bit more guts in it, something that's going to get a bit more volume to it. And colour is fantastic for that. Not only does it colour, which is kind of goes without saying, also what it does, it adds volume to it as well. It swells the hair. The colour goes into the hair shaft, it swells it, makes it coarser, and you can do far more with it. It's going to last longer when you blow dry it. So colour's not just about colouring. It also gives it a little bit more volume, a bit more body. Oomph.
Yeah. So what about, I know the technology has improved a lot in terms of, the chemical, shall we say, configuration of the colours. Because it was definitely something that I used to think was potentially damaging for hair. Is that
not so much? If you're gonna bleach it, if you're gonna, but again, like I've just said, really, if you do have silky smooth hair, there's not an awful lot you can do with it. It just literally flops. So by adding a colour, it does. I'm not going to lie to you. Although colours have developed an awful lot and they're far kinder to your hair, sometimes the fact that it does dry it out a fraction just gives it a fraction more volume. So yes, I'm not going to lie, obviously anything that's a chemical that's going into your hair, but you've also got to remember that hair's dead. Hair doesn't live. Hair's not, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's true. So you can't damage something that's already, you can't make something more deaderer, if there is such a word as deaderer, which I don't think there is. But you can't hurt it any more than it already is. It's literally. So as long as it's not been over-processed, too much colour, again, go to the right hairdresser and they will make sure that that's not the case. But no, it's not damaging. No, not at all.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And of course, you should always have the skin patch.
You should always have the skin patch test done, definitely, as a hairdresser, it's getting harder and harder because guidelines now insist that every time somebody has a colour, whether they had a colour with you 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, the day before they come for their colour, they've ideally, in an ideal world, which sadly none of us live in, you still have to go for a patch test 24 hours earlier because people can develop allergies. An allergy that you didn't have to a skin colour 3 days ago, suddenly, all of a sudden, you could develop an allergy. So the guidelines do kind of suggest that before a colour, even if you had one 5-6 weeks ago, you should still come for a patch test the day before you colour. But like I say, in an ideal world, it's not a case, is it? You might have been working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, got a colour on a Thursday. How are you going to get to the salon on the Wednesday when you're working to get a patch test? It doesn't work that way. So in an ideal world, yes, patch test, very important.
Certainly before the first time.
Certainly before the first time, yes. Yeah. Certainly before the first time, just to make sure that you haven't got any allergies to it, because I've seen a reaction and they're not particularly pleasant at all.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
Did the hair fall?
No, but God. Her head did swell up. It wasn't my client, I hasten to add, but no.
Okay.
But I have seen it, I've witnessed it, and it's literally kind of like, yeah, not good. Not good. Not only big hair, but big head. And that's not what that's really not good. That's
really not what we're looking for.
Not at all, not at all.
No.
Just while we're on the subject of hair, and as one matures, it changes texture. You know, when you go to a salon, and I know the salon I work in is a massive advocate of promoting the hair, the products, the shampoos, the conditions, which, yeah, obviously help. But having said that, for me, the most important, healthy diet, which again, in an ideal world, would all have, 5 litres of water a day and lots of greens and what have you. However, meanwhile, back in the real world, so which is why I'm a massive advocate of nutrients, hair supplements. I always recommend a lot of clients do go for hair supplements. You don't have to pay a fortune. Holland & Barrett tablets. Sorry, tablets. Okay. Like a vitamin tablets, hair, skin and nails tablets. But Holland & Barrett, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention trade names. Sorry, a well-known leading that begins with an H and a B health food shop. Yeah, their tablets just there. I think they're £7 for 30. And it takes a good month or two to get into your system. But for all the money you spend on shampoos and conditioners, for me, healthy hair comes from a healthy scalp and a healthy, which goes back to what I was saying about how the heart and the liver and the kidneys get more, they need more nutrients as you get older. So it's just a little supplement just to help the hair along.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do favour, if possible, getting nutrients from food, but I realise that particularly, stress depletes.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I mean, everything takes its toll on the body again as you get older, from stress to fatigue to unhealthy lifestyles, which if we've got children and we're running them about or just, So just a supplement certainly wouldn't do any harm. I've seen some really big improvements in clients' hair.
Have you?
From seeing them hair really brittle, not particularly strong, and then suggesting that they go on these nutrients, hair supplements. Within 3 months, as a hairdresser, I visibly noticed that the hair feels and looks so much thicker, stronger, even to a degree longer, because hair has a life cycle. So it kind of prolongs the life cycle of the hair, so it just gets longer and thicker and healthier before it falls out.
They all fall out.
They do, yeah. Most hairs have a 7-8 year. Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, not as we wake up and oh my god, it's on the pillow. But yes, So just adding a supplement, like I say, you don't have to pay a fortune, but like I say, for all the money you spend on shampoos and conditioners, for me, a hair supplement is a fantastic idea, and an affordable one as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in the business of giving prescribing medication, but as long as you're not on any medications.
Sorry, maybe I should have. There's no contraindication to what you know.
Then I know that it's interesting actually that I give my sons this hair skin. It's hair, skin, and nails. This particular one. And because they've both got eczema and one was particularly suffering with acne, and so I put him on this. And then, of course, needless to say, I didn't take any myself. So, but having heard that, I might just consider it.
I've seen firsthand people who haven't. I sound like I'm advertising. I'm really not at all. But as a hairdresser, for all the shampoos and conditioners and mousses and gels and sprays and what have you, for me, tackle it from inside. Like I say, diet ideally. But I know myself, it's normally lunch on the run and then grab a bite to eat in the evening before taking the kids somewhere. So, in in an ideal world, we'd all have this wonderful diet, and it would be a balanced diet, and none of us would drink alcohol, would we, Philippa?
No.
So, but say, meanwhile, back in the real world,
drink.
no, Philippa doesn't. I drink for Philippa, don't I? So, particularly after Philippa's been in, I do need to drink then. But yeah, just a massive advocate. I can't stress enough how fantastic they are too. And you don't have to pay a fortune. Most supermarkets do their own version.
That's true, isn't it?
Or health supplement, even online. But just a hair supplement, really, really brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for that. I appreciate your expertise. In hair.
Nothing else, sadly, but yes, in hair. I do know what I'm doing.
Because harping back to the menopause, mainly, like I said, I am in the throes, and only at the beginning.
I'm having a hot flush now, actually. There's this lighting. I don't know if it's contagious.
No,
the menopause, is it not?
It's really not contagious,
right.
John. No,
that's good.
But it's a time of reflection sometimes for people. It's a time of challenges. We're dealing. For me, insomnia has been something that I've struggled with, which ultimately increases your stress levels, the cortisol in your body. If you're not sleeping well, you have the stress hormones are raised, and so anything that's interfering with your overall well-being potentially has the potential to impact on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's the first thing to suffer. If you are, I can tell when somebody. I know it sounds a bit corny, but I can tell when somebody's been poorly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
you can just tell that, and I think people themselves know, don't they, that when they've been under the weather, the first thing to suffer is their hair. If they've had a really rough patch, whether it be stress or whether it just be general health, you sort of, a month later, your hair does reflect that. So what's
about things like scalps? Can we talk about scalps?
Healthy scalp promotes healthy hair, which again is which is why because shampoos and conditioners, as good as they are, at the same time they're not really helping the scalp, which is where again I keep harping on to nutrients, but that's what's promoting a healthy scalp. Healthy scalp promotes healthy hair. And I think as well, probably going on a bit of tangent now, but clean scalp promotes, particularly in the olden days where clients, I'm old enough to remember the clients used to come once every 2 weeks for a shampoo and set, and just every day put another layer of hairspray on. That is asking for trouble, because you need the hair grows out of a hole, and if that hole becomes blocked with dead skin cells, with sweat, with hairspray, another layer of hairspray, the hair is going to struggle to get out of that hole. So it kind of stands to reason, it literally blocks. So the hair that's growing out of that hole is going to have quite a fight on to even before it even begins its journey on the outside. Absolutely. So a clean scalp is really important. Something mild, but unless your style doesn't permit it and you want your style to last. I know Philip has just said every 2 days, which is fine. But like I say, a clean scalp is something that
that really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. In the same way you wouldn't dream of not washing your face, or washing, if you have a shower, you'd wash your face. And basically your scalp is exactly the same, except hair grows out of it.
So why is it that you might have dandruff?
Dandruff is a lot of people. I don't really understand that. Dandruff is, again, it's more often not, rather than dandruff, it's probably just a dry scalp. Like you get dry skin anywhere, really. But if you've got a lot of hair, and again, you're not shampooing it, you're not washing it regularly, it's a bit like at the moment, given the current crisis with wearing a mask, I think everybody feels that the face gets so sweaty and it's really itchy, and I'm getting blackheads. At 53, I'm getting blackheads. I thought that was a thing that only teenagers got, but no,
I was
sadly,
wondering actually, because
you're looking at my blackheads.
No, I was going to ask you how you were getting on with
horrible, horrendous, yeah. Ideally, I wear a visor just in case Mr. Boris is watching. I do wear a visor, honestly, Boris, I do. But occasionally I have to wear a mask, and they're horrible. So what I'm trying to say is, you've got a scalp which is the same as your forehead, and then it's got hair on it.
So give it the same
So it doesn't allow the scalp to breathe in the same way a mask doesn't allow your face to breathe. So it gets sweaty, itchy, and that's why you start itching. That's where.
So I know I've been to salons where when you have your hair washed you know, the scalp massage, madame, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that good for you?
Yeah, it is. Again, it's about getting the blood flowing around the scalp, which in turn sends the nutrients. How many times I've said that word tonight? But the nutrients going around your scalp,
stimulates
the exactly, yeah. So it kind of feeds the scalp, which in turn feeds the hair.
So is it good to sort of really get your fingertips?
Yeah, I think it's. We've all had a terrible shampoo from some young apprentice somewhere where it literally either pulls with long nails, or even worse, that kind of tickly, horrible that you just want to get in there and give it a good. So I mean, for me, you don't want to think of, you know, as a bowling ball and trying to get your fingers in there, but at the same time, I tend to kind of move the scalp more than actually move my fingers. So if I can get in there and actually move the scalp over the skull rather than move the fingers, then but you know.
Oh, okay. So you're actually moving the skin on the skull.
Yeah, to a degree, which again, it stimulates that circulation.
Yeah. So you know, I'm a physio by trade.
I do indeed.
Yeah, profession.
Professional. Yes, absolutely.
So very similarly, you know, when I instruct people to partners or relatives to offer massage that I've demonstrated, you know, techniques or whatever. More often than not, people really want to just kind of rub on the skin. Yeah. Rather than to get and actually
to move the skin over. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so similarly,
which is basically tickling. Yeah. Which, as we all know, unless you do have a tickling fetish, which we won't go back to another podcast entirely. But
John, you're lowering the tone.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to lower the tone. So you move the skin, and you actually massage as opposed to tickling.
And that's going to stimulate the circulation more,
which gets the blood flow.
And that helps to keep the scalp healthy.
Absolutely, which then we go full circle, healthy scalp, healthy hair. Just one thing I would touch on.
Go on then.
Again, going totally off tangent, but we spoke about dandruff and dry scalp. And again, I don't want to be dissing some of the well-known anti-dandruff shampoos, and we all know which ones I'm talking about. But for me, if you had dry skin on your face, you wouldn't dream of using something caustic. And with these products, what they tend to do is they are very caustic. And then what they do is they actually lift the top layer of your scalp off, you know, and consequently, they do get rid of the flakes because they are lifting them off. However, again, think about that. What they're actually doing is drying it out. So then it's repeat. So it's a case of treating the cause rather than the symptoms. With these shampoos and products, they tend to be treating the symptoms rather than the cause. And the cause tends to be a lack of moisture, or go down that way. So like I say, if you had dry skin on your face, you might use these products to start with, but afterwards you would want to moisturize.
Yeah, that's right. Dry skin on your face, why would you not expect your scalp to be dry?
Exactly.
Oh, but the hydration, that's what you refer to.
So moisturizer. So again, probably not allowed to mention it, but some well-known natural body shop do a really good I think it's a coconut scalp oil, I think they do. So again, it's just about moisture, like you would on your face, like you would put moisturizer on your face, you would do the same on your scalp.
Okay, so I thought we were going to go back to moisturize from within.
Well, again, lots of, absolutely,
So that's part.
So it's kind of attacking it on two levels.
Yeah. So the hair oil, I've seen this and I've never tried it because, you know, you always think that the next day your hair is going to be
the idea is you put it on at night and you sleeve it in and then you shampoo it out the next day. So you wouldn't tend to leave it in. You'd probably do it at night.
Do you find it on your pillow?
I don't suffer with it, but I would imagine, you've probably got a greasy pillow the next morning.
So maybe put two pillowcases.
Pillowcases,
and then
cheap one on the top.
It, and do you rub it? You rub it into the
just
scalp,
rub it in. So you would section your hair off, particularly the areas that were dry. You'd section it off. You'd just rub it in, massage it in to make sure it's around, and then just leave it. So like you would a moisturizer, really.
Yeah. Well, you put your
kind of stands to reason, doesn't it? Really.
Exactly.
Night, and like I say, your scalp is made up of exactly the same, except you've got hair growing out of it. It's the only difference, really.
I like that. So we keep the fluids up as much as we can.
Fluids from inside and also moisturising the outside. Yeah. So I think we all know the benefits of hydrating oneself and keeping our fluids up.
And it is a challenge at this time of life as well. You know, at the tissues.
I'm a lot younger than you, Philippa, so I wouldn't know.
You know, you're not.
No, I'm not.
So it is a challenge. Dryness is a challenge in lots of areas, and so the scalp is no exception.
No exception.
Well, I think think, have we covered everything?
I think we have, yes.
Yeah.
I think if yes.
I think so. So thank you. It only remains for me to say thank you
No,
for your
enjoyed
giving
it.
of your time.
Not a problem.
And we'll share your details
Lovely.
if anybody is in the Lincoln area.
Absolutely.
And they're keen to come and hunt you down.
Come and see me.
Yeah. And thank you very much for giving your time tonight.
Enjoyed it.
And so maybe we'll see you again, John.
Let's hope so. Lovely. Thank you.